Hi everyone, my name is Hanne Rosius and I work as a teacher trainer in PXL University in Hasselt, that's in Belgium. And a few months ago I became Teacher of the Year in Flanders within the theme of giving opportunities to students. I was very honored because I think that's a very important theme in education. I train my students to teach in vocational education, so they will be standing in front of a very diverse class later on, which is why inclusion should also be a matter of course in my teaching. Teach as you preach, like they say. In terms of diversity, my own classes have changed enormously last years. 20 years ago, when I started, I had mostly native students from strong socioeconomic families, and they started at 18 years at our university after a general secondary education. But today that's totally different. I have a lot of students from diverse cultural backgrounds, or students from different age with learning disabilities, or students with different life experience. And you know what? That makes my education much stronger, I think. PXL, our school, supports the diversity through various initiatives. So we have, for example, a range of student support, like financial support for students who live in poverty, study support, extra language support, and we also collaborate with external tutors, for example, with autism or learning difficulties. So there's a range of initiatives. And as a teacher, sometimes I refer a student to support and I keep in close contact, and often I am engaged in discussion about them or with them to find the appropriate solution for them. But most important, I think, is the role of the teacher who works with students every day. Giving opportunities starts with setting higher expectations for everyone. When you set different expectations through inclusion, I think it's actually an insult to the student. For example, if a student with a different home language makes more language mistakes, it is not a solution to be less strict about it, I think. On the contrary, you should clearly tell the student to work extra hard on that point, and you give him the way to language support. As a teacher of education, I always try to give my students the following insights. 3 things. Look, see and love your students. I always take the time to look closely at my students in class. What are they doing? What are they telling? How are they behaving? How are they reacting? You can sometimes learn a lot from small behaviors in front of you while you are teaching. A student who is remarkably quiet in class, that one gets a message from me to ask if everything is okay. Or a student who stays very much in the background all the year, I try to put myself close to him after class to talk a little bit. A background picture on a computer screen with some kids, I show interest and ask about it. And that way a student feels seen. And I get a lot of information about some pieces of diversity that are often not visible. And that's important, because that way I learned a lot about the students, about their culture, about even financial problems at home, or about how hard it is to sit still for 2 hours in my class when you have ADHD. And then I try to do small things to make it better for the students. Students who never had books at home, I take them with me by reading and talking about texts together in which they can recognize themselves. We talk about it in class, and during the talking together, students show their worlds to each other. Or for the student who can't afford books, I make sure that there are always some extra copies in the library. All the insights I gain on my distant travels, which cost a lot of money, I take my students also on a faraway trip, and through Teams I let the locals showing their life in Kenya, so they can travel also. There's not really a recipe for inclusion. Looking closely, really seeing students and love them. And then show in the right way with some small adaptations to reach their goals. That's what you have to do.